Hi, I'm Amanda Kiss reporting for LCTV Channel 20. Today I am talking with Arlen Roth, the musical mastermind. He has gone on tour with highly acclaimed artists such as Simon and Garfunkel and Bob Dylan. In addition, he is an author and innovative guitar instructor. According to Vintage Guitarist magazine, he is one of the top 100 most influential guitar players of the century. Arlen is also going to be performing at the Memorial Day Fair at the Presbyterian Church in South Salem. Arlen, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me here.
You have quite an impressive resume.
Well, I've been doing it a long time. I've been doing it as long as I can really remember. I started playing when I was 10, and I went professional at the age of 16, 17. 18, I already had moved to Woodstock, so I was already a professional guitar player around my mid-teens, really. So I've been doing it a long time. I have 12 of my own albums, too. I mean, besides the fact of, being a sideman and backing up a lot of people and doing my sideman session work, I've always been a solo artist, too. So I have my 12th album coming out actually later this month.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What genre is your specialty?
Well, they created a genre for me. They call it Americana these days. Really, I was always known as a blues player, a country player. When it came to my innovations, certainly within the blues and country genres, because that's how I grew up. That's what I grew up listening to and teaching myself. I never took lessons. But I cross all the borders. I play jazz, I'll play acoustic, country, folk, blues, rock, hardcore rock and roll, anything you want except maybe rap and heavy metal. Although I could probably cover some heavy metal gigs too, but I would probably prefer not to. But I'm just a guitar player, an American guitar player that has assimilated everything I've ever heard into what I do.
Well, speaking of blues, a Hollywood director contacted you for the movie Crossroads,
right.
Which you taught Ralph Macchio how to play the guitar?
Ralph Macchio. Well, I taught Ralph Macchio to be good enough to fake to what I was playing. Ralph wanted to walk on the set a guitar player. He's very ambitious about it. Actor. They'd say, "Well, you're going to play a blues guitarist." Wow. But the thing was, I had to teach him classical blues, fingerstyle, slide guitar, which is a big specialty of mine. And I had to teach him all of this according to the script, according to what they wanted. Walter Hill called me up, the director, and he says, "Ry Cooder says, you're the man to do it. You're the man to do it." So not only was I commissioned to teach him even 2 months before we started filming, because I would see him every day on Long Island. I had to drive from South Salem. It was crazy.
That's a pretty long commute.
It was quite a commute, but I got to know the one thing on the Throgs Neck Bridge that, the one toll that if I threw in a quarter, it would work. That's how often I did it. But Ralph was great to work with. And then we went on, I was just teaching him day in and day out with I must have had 12 guitars at his house. And we would do it, and Walter Hill said, "I want him to be a guitar player. I want him to be able to cover all these different bases." And it was at the same time as the Karate Kid. So I would leave with my guitar, and in would come a karate instructor. We would, say, "What are we going to do with this kid? He's got to learn karate. He's got to learn guitar." But then it was a real thrill to go, actually, on location with the film and be in Mississippi for 6 weeks.
That must have been wonderful.
They'd be like, "We want him to play something here in the middle of the cotton field." I'd be like, "Okay," because I knew his parameter of what I taught him, so I could play on the areas of the guitar that I knew where he would be able to fake it. So we wanted it to be the most convincing musical role ever in a film, where the actor really seemed like he was really doing the playing. But he couldn't quite get there to actually be that good a player. But we didn't have that long to work. How can I give him 40 years worth of my experience in 2 months and make
In
him
such a short span
play.
of
But he
time.
did great. I must admit, he really did well. That was a great, great experience.
Well, you're obviously very passionate about teaching, and you have started Hot Licks. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, Hot Licks started back in 1979 with me and my late wife, Deborah, who wasn't even my wife yet at that point. And I knew as early as the early 70s, because I was teaching a lot of students. When I wasn't on the road, I would supplement my income as a teacher, as many musicians do. And I had this idea, I would encourage my students to tape their lessons when they were with me, so they wouldn't miss anything. Just roll the tape, cassettes. And one day a student moved away and he said, I really miss those lessons on tape. And I said, aha, lessons on tape. So then in 73, I thought of that. 79, after my Phoebe Snow tour, I just toured with Art Garfunkel and then Phoebe Snow, and the phone was no longer ringing. And we only had a little money left to our name, me and my wife, Deborah. We were living down by the World Trade Center. We had a loft in New York City, 2 blocks from the World Trade Center. And I started laying down all these lessons on tape. This is before video. I was just doing audio lessons. So my first ad was in Guitar Player magazine, where they knew of me already, and I had exposure. And I advertised 48 lessons. In fact, we were starting to get orders, and I wasn't even done doing the lessons yet. The mailbox was overflowing, and became like a worldwide phenomenon. So then, around 1984, when I went to do Crossroads movie, I was also starting to do the video lessons, and with the audio and video, I would sign. It wasn't only me. I would start to sign other well-known musicians to do it with me. Like the first person to do a video for me, besides myself, was John Entwistle from The Who, the bass player from The Who. And he did a wonderful lesson for me. And so I started. We ended up doing over 180 lessons with about 150 different artists.
Wow, that's a significant amount.
Over 25 years. In fact, the last ones I did before I sold the company was with George Benson. George Benson did one for me as well. And no, it's an amazing catalog. And we started that's a whole genre, a whole sort of like movement within the music business and within teaching. It became cool to pass on your information, even though you were a famous person. And many of them also, like me, are self-taught. So I was able to draw that out of them, draw that first-time information. People like Buddy Guy, the Chicago blues player, Junior Wells teaching harmonica, Joe Morello teaching drums, from the Dave Brubeck group. Whoever it might be, many times it's the only time they ever sat in front of a camera and explained what they did, what they were about. So I was good at working with them in that way.
I can't even comprehend teaching myself how to play the guitar. How did you even go about doing that?
Well, my father, the great New Yorker cartoonist Al Ross, he heard me around the house. He was listening to flamenco all the time. And this is his art all around this room, by the way.
Beautiful.
And thank you. And he said, and he saw, we had a guitar with only 2 strings on it. I figured that's what guitars had. So I started, working out harmonies and things. And he said, you should be playing the guitar, because I was already playing the violin. He said, I just see you playing the guitar, because he had this love for Spain and Picasso and Spanish music. So I started by picking up those things and playing some classical. And then quickly, the blues boom happened around 1965, 1966. And then I got an electric guitar and then started playing blues, started being influenced by people like Mike Bloomfield and the Byrds and the Beatles and everybody. I was already playing the guitar before that whole boom occurred. So I was like in the right place at the right time with it. But the guitar it's infinite. You start with liking one particular area that you want to play. You want to play some pop music or your favorite heroes, and then you discover, Chuck Berry learned from the earlier guys, and then Robert Johnson. It goes back and back. The Rolling Stones weren't the beginning of the blues, and you just keep on going back and digging deeper into the history of where it all came from. And I find that every day I learn something new to this day. I do.
Always learning.
Always learning. And one of the best ways to keep on learning is to keep on teaching, because you have to dig deep. You have to dig deeper sometimes when I have very gifted students, I feel like I'm running out of material. Then I realize, how could I ever run out of material? You just have to keep on going with it, because they're going to get something from you, and then they're going to plug that into being their own style. You know, when I learned from others, I didn't have to sound exactly like them. I would just get a little snapshot of what they were all about, and then I would take that and make it my own and absorb it into my style. So, and of course I had to perform a lot. I was performing at a very young age, so there's no better way to learn than when it's do or die in front of audiences, or in a recording studio when they say, okay, roll, tape, take one, go ahead. Oh, it's that guitar player again who can't read music, you know. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't know I had to read music for this session, you know, just play it for me. Oh, that lick, of course I know that. As long as I hear it, I can play it. But, you know, it's like the old joke, how do you get a guitar player to stop playing? Put some music in front of them. but no, I have made a career of that, and having my own sound, I think it's very important that everybody strive to get their own sound, their own approach.
Yes, and it makes you stand out amongst so many artists.
It does. People don't realize it, but that you already, the minute you pick up an instrument and you play a couple of notes, you're already singing with your own voice. So, you know, in that regard, some people are afraid to do that. They pick up the instrument and they start to play, oh, you know, not quite ready to expose themselves. Whereas with me, the more I can express myself, the more I can be in front of a crowd, the more comfortable I am.
It's very personal because you're putting yourself out there.
Absolutely, and that's how I learn. You learn, you got to express yourself right then and there. When I'm in the recording studio, it's my first take that's the best take. The most honest impression of that song, if I have to play a solo or something, that's the best. You know, after that, then it gets diluted, it gets lost, you overthink it, and you have to take a break. Maybe come back to it in a couple of days until it's fresh again. So, you know.
There's so much knowledge to pass on. How many students are you teaching right now?
Never enough. I'm teaching, well, on Gibson.com, I have lessons on Gibson. They say I have 1 million, but they don't have to pay. I wish they did. No, but it's 1 million. It's 1 million students on there, and I sold 2.5 million videos. But personally, I teach about 7 or 8 a week, and I have a few who come every other week, and I also give lessons on Skype on the computer.
Oh, that's interesting.
People from all over the country, all over the world. We just make our appointment, and boom, there we are on Skype together, and I'm teaching them on the computer.
You're very busy. And
yeah, it keeps me very busy.
Your daughter, Lexi, now is following in your footsteps.
Yes, Lexi, just like my daughter, Jillian, has followed in my footsteps as a guitar player and as a very prolific singer-songwriter. She's incredible. She has her second album that just came out the other night.
What's the name of her new album?
The new album is just called Lexi Roth. The first album was called One Long Blink, Lexi Roth, One Long Blink. And this one is her self-titled, beautiful, beautiful album. Incredibly sensitive songs. They really get you. They really get to you, especially people who know us. They're very emotional, very hard-hitting. And she, unlike a lot of young girls, she tends to be fewer words, less words, not so wordy as a lot of young people who write songs.
And sometimes that's even more powerful.
Exactly, exactly. She'll hit you with that word and let it hang there and let you think about what it means. And that's very interesting to me because I'm primarily an instrumentalist. I mean, I love to sing, but I figure that when you play a note, that note is saying so much more than an actual word says. Because yes, I might be replacing a word in an old song that people know, but when I go, from When a Man Loves a Woman, well, it doesn't even have to say when a man loves a woman. It's more expressive. It's something that you can't even put your finger on. And that's what's the beauty of music. That's it. It's up to everybody else to interpret what you're saying. But you're just speaking from heart to heart. That's what it is. You're just speaking from your heart. That's why people love music so much. There's something about the combination of the emotion and the sound that seems to resonate with everybody. And it's no problem if I go to Japan, if I go to Finland, if I go to England, wherever it might be.
It's a universal language.
It's so universal. And the great thing about that is when I go there, I get to play with musicians from there, and they love to put their best foot forward, because they all love American music. Like, I'm going to be touring Spain in the fall, and I'm going to be using a band of friends of mine who are Spanish over there, who are going to be rehearsing material and be ready for me when I get there.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that'll be with me and Lexi. So.
And your upcoming gig for the Memorial Day Fair, are you looking forward to that?
I am looking forward to that. I figure they finally get me in South Salem to play once I...
It's about time.
About time. No, but I've played in South Salem before. But I love it. Yeah, I've been at the Memorial Day before. And in fact, I remember on the cover of the Lewisboro Ledger years ago was a picture of my daughter Jillian and Lexi in their scout outfits with all these like American flags,
adorable,
hugging each other, and that was the cover. And I don't think I've been to that since then. I don't even remember if there was music then or why. I know there was all kinds of stuff going on. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I want to do something for the community. I love this area. I love South Salem. I've lived here already 28 years, and it really feels like home, And I know everybody. Everybody knows me and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it. But it's going to be acoustic, mostly an acoustic show, just me and my daughter.
And that's what you have right now, an acoustic
guitar? This is an acoustic guitar. This is a very early one from the 20s. But I'll be playing with her, and also I have an adorable little student named Alex Hoffman, who's only 6 years old. Now she actually just turned 7, and who lives in Pound Ridge. And she's just a wonderful player. When she heard about this gig, she wanted to write a Memorial Day song. So she
wrote it herself?
She wrote her
7
own
years old?
Memorial Day song, and she's been practicing it, and she can't wait to go up on stage and have everybody cheering for her. She's a little born performer, this one. So she's really, really sweet. I love to do that. I like to, showcase students and have people come up and break that ice of what it's like to play in front of people and give them good memories,
And we're looking forward to it.
It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it, too. I know that there's probably other musicians going to be playing, too, that day, so it should be a pretty exciting thing.
Yes, we have Pastor Andrews, who's also going to be performing.
Oh, yeah, sure. He's great, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it.
Arlen, it has been a pleasure speaking with you today.
My pleasure, too. Thank you, Amanda. Thanks for having me.
I'm Amanda Kiss, reporting for LCTV. Thank you for joining us today.
You're watching Lewisboro Community Television, Channel 20.